Hello, welcome to another prediction video. Just going to do a couple of fights that I think are interesting on this fight night card. Duplessis versus Usman. Pretty lackluster card, but what can you expect? You know, coming off a Conor McGregor fight last weekend, it was never going to be quite as lively as that one. But yeah, overall, I think that was a pretty good card. Disappointing way it ended there with McGregor going down with a knee injury. He's obviously going to need surgery now. So yeah, will it be the last time we see McGregor? I'm not sure. I think he wants to explore free agency and he's got one fight on his contract left. But yeah, just a little bit of a sad way to end a pretty good night of fights, I reckon. There was some good entertainment there. But anyway, we will move forward. So this weekend, Duplessis versus Kamaru Usman and Jared Cannonier versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Just going to do the two main fights here. Nothing else on the card really jumps out at me. There's a couple of good names. Tabitha Ritchie versus Vadim McCline. I think Tabitha Ritchie will get that done. Tommy McMillan, he looked good in his debut. I think he could have a long career ahead of him. Alberto Montez is no joke though, so it'd be good to see how he goes in that one. A couple of Brazilians. But the main two I like is Jared Cannonier and Christian Leroy Duncan. So I'll just give you a quick prediction and breakdown for this middleweight bout. Number 10 versus ranked number 12. And I think this will be a pretty good fight. Pretty even matchup. Killer Gorilla's obviously getting a little bit older now. He's showing his age a bit in fights, I think, now. CLD's looked really good in his fights that I've seen of him. I've watched most of his fights and I think he performs really well, especially in the home country in England there, in the O2 Arena. He seems to always do some good work. Knocked out Eric Anders. That was a pretty good finish. I sort of like Eric Anders. I thought he would have done better than he did, getting knocked out in the first round. Christian Leroy Duncan, one thing that stands out to me with him, obviously he's quite a big guy, 6'2", but it's not massive for middleweight, but he's in tremendous shape. But the thing that stands out to me when I watch him fight is just the sheer sort of the damage he looks like he inflicts. I think all of his techniques and his sort of greediness, he puts he seems to like cut guys pretty quickly, I reckon. They're wear and damage, noticeable damage during the fight. I think everything he throws is hard. He throws hard leg kicks, and he looks to get a finish, which I do enjoy a good CLD fight. He goes in guns blazing, but he has maybe met his match here. You're talking about a old, experienced veteran, and the Killer Gorilla has knocked back his fair share of young and upcoming fighters. And I think this could be the same sort of story again. I think he's performing his gatekeeping role quite well. And I think just with his technical skills to avoid the danger, I think he's going to let Christian Leroy Duncan sort of blow his wad pretty early in the fight. I think he's going to be able to limit a lot of the real severe damage he tries to inflict early. And as he sort of tires, I think he's going to... I can maybe see him losing the first round, but then as the fight goes on, I think he wins the second. He takes control, probably mixes in a couple of takedowns and control on the ground with heavy ground and pound. And I think the work to the body and just the over the top right hand, I think it's going to win him this fight. Personally, I think it will be close. I'm going to tip that it goes to a decision, but I can see Jared Cannonier having success here. Even though he's a little bit older, he's not going to be quite as quick and not as sharp. I think, at 40 or 42 or 43 or however old he is, he still looks good. He looks the part. And I think, just with his general experience and fight IQ, the knowledge of the octagon, the big moment, this is gonna work all in his favour. So I'm going to go with Jared Cannonier by a unanimous decision, but very close fight. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes to CLD. Surprised with the odds makers having Cannonier quite such a big underdog. Really expected this to be a pick'em fight, really. But No, they've written him off. They don't think he's any good anymore because he's getting old. But no, I'm going with the killer gorilla. And yeah, I hope it's a good, entertaining matchup. I'm sure it will be. We'll move on. Quite a way up the rankings here. We've gone from 10 and 12 to 2 and 9. Yeah, another middleweight bout. The main event of the evening. The battle for African supremacy. South Africa versus Nigeria. Kamaru Usman versus Dricus du Plessis. This will be a good fight. First time we've seen Dricus since the Kamsa incident. He sort of let a lot of people down in that fight, I think. And I think that sort of took its toll on him mentally too. You know, everyone was expecting a good close matchup, good even sort of performance from both guys. And, you know, du Plessis just got ragdolled the fight, let's be honest. He did not look very good at all. And Kamaru Usman has that same sort of ability. He can do the same sort of thing. You know, been a big fan of the Nigerian Nightmare for a long time. Ever since he took down Woodley and, you know, all that. I think that was the best Usman performance we've seen. Before that, though, he was knocking people dead left, right, and centre. No, I really liked watching Usman making a good name for himself. He's such a jacked dude at welterweight. To see him go up to middleweight and he looks virtually no different is just crazy. Like, how he ever made welterweight, unbelievable. But yeah, DDP losing his belt to Kamsa. I think that, yeah, like I said, that took its toll on him mentally. It's good to see that he took quite a bit of time away from the sport just to reset, and hopefully he comes good. Well, hopefully he performs better than he did in the Kamsa fight. I think this will be a good matchup. It should be a really good fight. Kamaru Usman coming off a win against Zhao Quinn Buckley, and that's a pretty good win for him. Buckley's a bit younger, you know, a bit quicker. Yeah, so I think, you know, that's good for the Nigerian Nightmare. I think the move to middleweight probably isn't a bad one for him. I can see him, you know, sort of fitting in there pretty well. But the trouble is he's getting old now. He has had a fairly long time in the UFC, and that takes its toll on you. But I think he is a nice fit for middleweight. The issue with his knees, I think, is a little bit concerning to me, as I think du Plessis will be sort of challenging him. You know, he's going to be moving around. I think, you know, du Plessis probably identified that as a pretty solid advantage if they can try and keep it standing and chop at the legs. Usman's knees just probably not going to hold up for much longer. But really, they're virtually identical when you look at the stats. Even their record is very similar, 23-3 for du Plessis, for 21-4 for Usman. Yeah, look, it's hard because I've been such a big fan of Usman for such a long time. I'm sort of leaning towards him, but again, he's surprising me with the odds makers having him as such a big underdog. I don't know why they're writing off Kamaru. He's been such a fucking top athlete for such a long time. And it's good to see the UFC giving him a decent shot here at middleweight. If he wins this fight, he could get back to a title shot potentially. And I could see him fucking sneaking in here. A little bit of a dark horse. But yeah, so it's tough, man. Like I said, the Battle of Africa. Africa's on the line here. The South Africans are pretty good. The Nigerians are bloody good too. I think, you know, with Dricus coming off the disappointing loss there to Kamsa there, getting ragdolled, I think he's going to want to make a statement, but I also think he's going to be very tentative. He's going to be a bit gun-shy. He's not going to want to make any mistakes. And, you know, the first time Usman gets him down, that could sort of trigger something. Like, you know, he could go back to that moment, and that could really fuck him up this fight, I believe. You know, and Usman, I believe, will be looking for takedowns. I think he will get him down. I think he's probably superior with the grappling. That is his true advantage. DDP's good everywhere, don't get me wrong, but I think Usman's pressure and his takedown, especially his takedowns, are incredible. So I think if Usman gets him down, we could see flashbacks here, especially if he gets him in a crucifix. Yeah, so look, I'm gonna go with Kamaru Usman. I mean, I am hesitant here. I probably wouldn't listen to this pick very much. Like, I think Duplessis younger, he's fitter, he probably has the athleticism, but I just can't help but pick Kamaru, man. I think, unless his knees blow out on him, he's still going to be in there throwing. He's not going to be able to go down without a fight. Like, Duplessis not going to get him down, I don't reckon. He's going to try. Kamaru's going to defend. I hope we see vintage Kamaru on the cage, just controlling Duplessis, slowing the fight down, fighting at a comfortable pace for him, and just peppering him with shots and doing damage. But like I said, you look at the attributes here, and they're pretty evenly matched. They've got the same 76-inch reach and 6'1" versus 6 foot. I think obviously Duplessis is probably a bit more of a natural middleweight, but Kamaru Usman's a giant. He was always a giant welterweight. I'm sure he's going to be in there about 200 pounds on the night of the fight too. So I think 185 does suit him. I think he's going to rejuvenate well. I think he's going to take shots well. I'm just kind of the thing I'm most intrigues me with this matchup is what kind of form we see Duplessis come back from here. Such a devastating loss. That would be playing in his mind all fight week. He has to do better than that. He cannot let that happen to him again. And I think Kamaru Usman's going to trigger something. When Kamaru Usman gets Duplessis down and starts to control him on the ground, and if Duplessis explodes and can't get back up, I think he's just going to shut right off. I think it's going to absolutely trigger him. I think Usman's going to have his way on the ground with him. And, Usman's always been about control. He's not a huge ground and pound guy. He lands some good shots, but he's all about control. And his wrestling is top tier, Usman has always been one of the best wrestlers in any division, I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Kamaru Usman. And I think he's probably going to get it done by decision as well. I think it'll be a close fight. I think I can see Duplessis winning rounds early, but also, having trouble with the takedowns, having trouble with, what Kamaru can bring to the table. I think, like I said, Kamaru's going to take the shots well. I think that's going to, sort of play in the mind of Duplessis when he's landing on Kamaru, and Kamaru's just not backing up one bit. It's going to continue to march forward. And like I said, I'm really hoping we see good control on the cage and then mix in trips, little knee taps and stuff like this from Kamaru, and eventually drag him down to the ground. And that's where he's going to do his best work for 5 rounds, I reckon. So, yeah, anyway, I'll leave it at that, guys. Bit of a quick video. Obviously not that many good fights to really that sort of stand out to me. I'm not going to go over some boring fight that I'm not going to really enjoy. So, yeah. If you think I missed any, let me know. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the fights.